a new age Indian entrepreneur with international scale. Now, this session, My Entrepreneurial Script, is a story of reinvention where passion meets perseverance, inspiring audiences to craft their own journeys beyond conventional career paths. Ladies and gentlemen, with a big round of applause, let's welcome on stage Dr. Vivek Anand Oberoi.
I would say it's a perfect climax to a rich and insightful Fortune India summit. And who better than Vivek Oberoi to close us out on his fascinating journey from an actor to an entrepreneur to an investor. So Vivek, thank you for taking time out and joining us this evening.
The pleasure is absolutely mine. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
So let us go back to the day you took stands before the camera for company. That's 2002, right? Did you ever imagine that you would be here today talking about your journey as an entrepreneur? Was that ever a thought in your mind when you took up acting?
Actually, to be honest, Keshav, never. There was never a thought in my mind that I'd move from being an actor to an actorpreneur. I always thought that this was it. And I had entrepreneurial experience before because my father had inspired me in many ways, which we can talk about later. But there was that bug, there was that kida, that entrepreneurship. But acting was just my passion, my love, and it was incredible to have such a platform as company and a brilliant maverick director like Ram Gopal Verma at the helm. So never thought in that direction. I think there was a time which came in my life where I felt that a pivot or a reinvention was necessary. And I wanted to, go back to that hungry me of 2002 rather than a disillusioned me of 2010.
So let us talk about that disillusionment. Why was that? What led to that? And how come business was an answer to that?
But there's a lot of challenges that everybody faces, right? Just listening to everyone's stories here, there are incredible startup founders in the room here. They've all faced different kinds of challenges, and those have been blessings in disguise because they've had to reinvent themselves.
True.
And risen like the phoenix all over again from the ashes. So I think for me, there was a lot of systemic challenges at the time. It was a very different kind of industry. There was a lot of lobbies. It wasn't a meritocracy as such. So at least I experienced it that way. So for me, rather than taking that into a negative space, energy is energy. You convert it whether it's negative or positive. I decided to take all that energy, all that fire, and redirect it somewhere. And I started learning again, and I started listening to different people, and started by sitting down on the floor and taking advice from people who knew more than me in that particular domain. And then I realized I may have a flair for it. And started small, scaled.
What was your first step? What was your first investment?
So I think in the tech space, the first company I built was with a team of IITians. It was a fintech company.
Okay.
It was very interesting because I saw that education fee financing was a big gap back in the day. Now it's a crowded space. But it was a big gap at that time. So how do we hit something that has purpose and profit at the same time? That was fun. It was called Financier. Now it's called Leo One. Went into real estate.
It's still part of your portfolio, or did you flip it over?
Small part now. I mean,
Okay.
I'm less and less involved. I still own some stock in the company,
Right.
and hope they go public soon. But yeah, so for me, the idea was to keep evolving and keep building. I got into the space of education. I co-founded the first startup innovation university in India, in Gujarat. We had a visionary leader there who had ideas. And policy was a lot easier, and he pushed all of us to do things that were not the norm, and we're fortunate to have him as the Prime Minister of the country today. So a lot of credit goes to his vision. So we did things differently, and that threw me into that world of exciting possibilities.
So how did you kind of think through this whole journey, right? I mean, at one point you were still acting, right? And this, you said you were just trying it out as a businessman. But what gave you the conviction that this is your calling? And was it that you tasted success with each and every venture? Did you lose money? Give us some more anecdotes around
I've been
that.
very lucky. I've been very, very lucky they've all worked out for me. So
Okay.
it's not been, I haven't seen that, the disappointment. I've seen the highs and the lows, of course, but eventually it's all been a happy ending at the end of the story. So it's been good for me. But Keshav, I believe tags are for baggage. And God has blessed me that I have no baggage. Right?
Okay.
So I don't say, okay, now I'm an actor, now I'm an entrepreneur, now I'm an actorpreneur, now I'm an educationist, now I'm a philanthropist. I believe it's all different facets of you, right? Just like if you look at an actor, and the complete actor should have navarasa, right?
Correct.
I feel like the complete human should have all these elements and aspects, right? To be able to explore, to be able to expand, to be able to constantly improve, right? And that's been my constant learning. Not that I've achieved it, but I keep trying. I keep trying to get better and better. Every day in every way, I want to be better and better. So I think that purpose, profit, fulfillment, all in a cycle, is extremely satisfying as a person. And I think that that's what's brought me to this very beautiful place that I feel I am in right now, very blessed place that I feel I am in right now.
Right. So is this the kind of script that you would continue in the years to come? I mean, you are doing some 2 movies, right? Spirits and Ramayana. And by the way, the fees that you're charging for Ramayana has been given away as charity for children suffering from cancer. So I think a big round of applause for that.
It's a cause I'm very, very passionate about, and I think it's coming to the fore now, but I've been working on it for 23 years with Cancer Patients Aid Association, and they're an incredible organization. I'm just a small, humble part of the organization, but that army of relentless volunteers, look them up, it's called CPAA. In the last 23 years, we've collaborated and helped more than 250,000 poor children get cancer treatment. So those are the things that fulfill me, a lot in life. And I've come to this new concept in life, Keshav, where I feel like I want to be zero, shunya, right? I think the beauty of shunya is that if you acknowledge a great founder, a great opportunity, and you stand back behind him and back him or her, you create a multiplier. If you stand behind a 1, you create a 10. If you stand behind a 9, you create a 90. I think that's the aspiration that I'm trying to achieve now. I feel like I'm very satisfied with what I've achieved already. And now the joy I'm seeing in companies and founders that I believe in grow exponentially, and how to create more value in their lives, that's giving me a lot of joy.
And how's your approach towards investing, right? I mean, like, you read a script, you think this is a great script, this is the role I want. But investing is a completely different ballgame, right? So how did you perfect that script?
I haven't perfected it. I think there's a lot of work to go. But I kind of like to find the opportunities that are not obvious. I like to find what is not in the deck, what is not on paper. And that's always done me well. I've always tried to see, okay, how can this solve for a problem that we haven't realized it can? Because that adds an exponential value. Then I always look at amplifiers of that value. How do we create an amplifier to this? Whether it's through scale, whether it's through in luxury, like we do Rotoris, these watches. Now we've amplified the value of the company just by creating a really good watch, but with an extreme desirability component, right? A quotient where every time we set out a limited edition, it's sold out. True. There isn't enough units or to supply compared to the demand registered with advances online. When we did BMW, the idea was to create aspirational living in the UAE. How do you create something that people aspire to? So what is the amplifier in that space? Whether it's technology or whether it's luxury and aspirational quality, what is that amplifier? Is it a strategic partnership? I try to look for these few things. And if I feel I can't add too much value or an X factor, I kind of stay away.
So today, as we speak, what's your portfolio look like, right? You have an assortment of startups, then you also have real estate. Give us an factual value of what your portfolio is, because there have been too many reports around throwing different numbers. today, give us the number. What's your portfolio valued at?
Look, I'll give you a number. I'll give you the number of my accountant. You speak to my chartered accountant, he'll tell you everything that you need. Now, I don't believe in this whole number throwing nonsense, and I think it's quite silly that people keep writing these numbers. I think for a company, it's important to have its numbers, to have its projections, to have its growth stories. But for individuals, how does it matter? I mean, there's just a vulgar way of showing off, and I don't subscribe to that.
And in terms of your own understanding of business, has that sharpened your acumen, about what kind of founders you want to back, what kind of, stakes that you want to hold in a company, and what's the kind of check size that you're willing to bet on? Has that kind of philosophy changed over the years? Are you willing to be more aggressive?
It has. I have not created a bound philosophy saying I will not write a check bigger than this. There's been times where somebody has told me, okay, why don't you write us $1, and I've written 5, because they've asked was $1, but I said no, I want to invest more, and I want to help build this company faster and bigger. I think the key is when I meet a founder, I see whether how much that passion's burning, how steady their focus and goal is, how quick they are to pivot and take something on an uptake, and what can I learn from them. If there's nothing I can learn from them, then I believe that there's something missing. I have to be able to learn something from that founder, either about the domain, about the space, about the business model. There has to be something that they're doing different. There has to be something that they're creating with much more value.
Today, as we speak, I mean, real estate is a substantial part of your portfolio, and you're based out of Dubai. But given this current geopolitical environment, does that scare you about the prospects of what's going to happen in West Asia?
Of course.
Is there a plan B that you want to come back?
No, of course there's fear, and I feel that West Asia doesn't affect only the UAE. I think it affects not just the Gulf region, but India right here. It affects the global economy. We're looking at global GDP shrinking. We're looking at flight of foreign capital. I mean, these are the things that freak people out. The rupee losing value against the dollar. All these things start to, mess the sentiment in the market overall. But if in a time of crisis, the one thing that you look for is dependability. Can I depend? I think the UAE leadership, the royal families, the kind of strength, resilience that they have shown again and again through every crisis, and the way the UAE has bounced back, I think that's dependability, that's reliability, and I'm willing to completely, bank on that. I think I'm fortunate to be in a space, in a company like BMW, with a team that's relentless and with visionary leadership that does not give up.
Vivek, while you started out your journey as an entrepreneur quite early, we have seen of late quite a few actors and actresses investing in brands, having a sizable stake. It seems to be the script that is all pervasive. Do you think that's some kind of an anchor in an largely fickle Bollywood, box office where films may or may not click, and entrepreneurship is the kind of an anchor that can keep them going? So,
yes, I think traditionally it used to be real estate, right? Buy a lot of real estate, put it up on rent, and then
Jitendra is big on real estate.
Yeah, he's big. A lot of people are actually. Rakesh ji, Ritik's dad, he's big on real estate too. So a lot of these people used to be traditionally real estate, but now I think a lot of people have seen value. There's smarter management that's realizing that we can create very good collaborative stories, and instead of just a cash out, if you convert that into an equity piece, a company goes public or a liquidity event happens, the multiplier you can make would be worth 10, 20 years of brand endorsements, right? So I think that number is fantastic. At the end of the day, what you want is to be able to create a corpus and to be able to hedge against ups and downs of a very fickle career.
So have any actors reached out to you on, what's the secret sauce, or, have they kind
Privately, yes, many of them, and
What's your
sometimes they
single
give me
advice to them? What's
unnecessary
your advice to
homework
them?
also.
Right.
लेना ना देना, मुझे भेज देते हैं भाई, जरा check करके बताना ये ठीक है कि नहीं है. Should start charging them. No, but they're friends, and I'm happy to advise them every now and then. Sometimes some of them look forward to collaborative plays also, and it's fun. It's fun that friendship sometimes evolves into co-investment structures.
As you kind of have a diverse portfolio, are you also looking at, this whole OTT play has come and there is an opportunity for you to create mini series and stuff like that. So are you looking at that as an opportunity where you could kind of make a significant
I don't see
fortune?
myself as a content creator, right? I think that's...
Backing those, financing them, is that an...
I don't see myself doing that. I don't
Why
see
is
myself
that?
as a
Are you
content
not convinced
creator.
of the
I
OTT
don't.
story?
I think there's just too many people who are fantastic with it, and I'd rather partake as an actor, because what acting has slowly become more and more is my passion, my pursuit of what feeds my spirit, right? Pun intended. So it's kind of that. So there's like a purity to it, and I really don't want numbers to come in the way of that joy. So it doesn't have to be about the numbers, it has to be about the work itself. I want to be foolish about that. I want to be illogical about that. It has to be just all about art. But a lot of other interesting spaces, from AI to defense tech, biotech and life sciences. I mean, I'm super passionate about this company, which I'm not speaking about right now, but I'm building, that will be the difference between life and death for cancer patients in India and across the globe, and priced for affordability, looking at markets like India and Africa. So those kind of impact-oriented but yet highly profitable stories are very exciting. Like, I feel like, I'm part of a journey that's helping people and changing lives. That satisfaction hits the sweet spot.
Okay. Does that, the bug in you, like you said, wants you to come back into movies big time? Are you picky and choosy about your roles now?
I was saying to someone earlier that as I grow older and hopefully wiser, the definition of success has started to be more lucid for me. And what I'm seeing with clarity now is that success is freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom to spend time the way you want to. You don't have to wake up and do this. There isn't a gun on your head. I think that freedom is what I'm enjoying a lot with cinema right now. Sandeep Vanga Reddy, a guy I admire as a filmmaker, reaches out and says, I want you to do this role. He narrates to me with music and everything. The first time I'm listening to a narration like that, I'm in love. And I'm like, when can we shoot? Forget contracts, papers, numbers. When can I play this character? That freedom, that joy is unmatched. And I think that's how I'm enjoying the success element. So for me to pick and choose what I really want to do as an actor and fulfill that, within me, is something that I'm pursuing right now.
Okay. So we'll have a quick, rapid fire.
Oh.
Okay, I think this will be nothing for you, in that sense. Mumbai or Dubai? What's your favorite place?
Both of my karam bhumis. It's like, these are the questions that are like, who do you love more, your mom or your wife? They're always bound to get you in trouble. Yeah. All the married men laughed and clapped. They know not to answer that.
Okay. One role that you would like to forget, that you've done, a role that today when you see, you feel like squirm in your chair.
Those are there. The thing is that all those roles that I'd like to forget, I've forgotten. So don't remind me.
What is your role that you loved, or the movie that you loved the most? A character that came close to you.
Pehla Pyar. So I think that Pehla Pyar is always company. It has too many memories. Thank you. It has too many memories. The first time I auditioned in front of Mr. Ram Gopal Verma, the legend. Memories of how I got that role. The first time I worked with another legend who became like a brother to me, Ajay Devgan. There are too many firsts that associate with. The first time I saw my face on a poster, on a hoarding, I stood there watching my face on a hoarding and I had tears in my eyes that, oh my God, is this a reality? That just makes it so much more special. I've been blessed to have done many, many films, many roles, but I think that first love is your first love.
And your favorite co-star in the past and one you would love to work in the future?
I think I'd like to just say that, I know it's rapid fire, but more than co-stars, collaborators.
Okay.
The kind of joy I've had working with a Mani Ratnam on a Yuva, a Shad Ali on a Satya, Ram Gopal Verma on a Company or a Rakta Charitra, that joy that I've had working with actors, actresses, filmmakers, DOPs, writers, that joy is something else. And we only tend to look at co-stars because they're on screen. But the collaborators, they bring something else out in you. How you experience that, working with Ritik and Rakesh Uncle on Krish 3. It was a very different experience. I had a 27-kilo suit on me. And then we were on wires and cables trying to punch through the air and kick through the air, doing like heavy-duty action. But the way they took care of me, the love that they gave me, the pampering that I got on that set, I mean, those made those memories beautiful.
One actor to watch out for?
There's a few. But I think recently I was telling Mohit Suri, when I watched Sayara, I felt that raw honesty. I saw the first trailer and I was shooting in London. And I called him from there. And then when I saw the film as soon as it released, and I called him again after that. So I think Ahan Pandey and Vineet Padda, to me, felt visceral, felt real, felt honest, felt real and raw. And if Satya had to be remade again, I think they'd be the perfect casting.
Okay, as an actor, what's your strength? Is it comedy, romance, action? What do you prefer most? What comes easy to you? Romance is the answer, but I think...
I think the idea is to be a chameleon, to be able to absorb every canvas, every color that the director throws at you. Ram Gopal Verma told me right in the beginning of my career, 24 years ago, he said, an actor is a secondary mover. The director is a primary mover. So how much can you surrender? How much can you surrender and be the paintbrush and watch creation happen? I think that is what I feel is a hallmark of a good actor, and that's what I keep trying to be. I'm working with Sandeep right now. I'm working with Nitesh Tiwari. Both very, very different styles of working, but both fantastic experiences. And with Sandeep, it's crazy. Like I was shooting a scene, and he was telling me, sir, I think your nose is acting right now. I was like, I've never heard that before. No, I don't want your nose to act. And I'm like, okay, how does the nose act? I have no idea, but I want to take this direction in and put myself in an uncomfortable situation enough for me to respond by performing something different. Because my job is to deliver whatever my director asks for. It's not to engage in an argument or a logic-based conversation. What are you trying to tell me? No. Whatever you say is to give some sort of an input, and then I have to give some sort of a response. And then when I gave that response, or when I performed that scene, it's the same director who will come and give you the biggest hug and tell you, I love you, sir. So that joy of being able to create or be a part of someone's vision and be a part of that creation is something sublime. But for that, you have to be in complete surrender.
And how do you handle criticism?
I'm married, I'm used to it. I think criticism is a part of growth, not trolling, because trolling is just lousy, it's just cowardice. But criticism is a part of growth. And I've actually picked up the phone even as late as like last year, and a film of mine did very badly, and I picked up the phone to a critic who said a few things, and I said, oh my God, he's so right. I didn't think of that. So I picked up the phone to him and I said, thank you. He thought I'm calling him to fight with him. Why did you say this about me, etc. I said, I just wanted to thank you because I didn't see that, and I didn't realize that about me, and I should have known better. And you made me aware. So critics can be great mirrors if they're honest critics. If they're just trolls just trying to make eyeballs and play off other people's pain, then that's a sorry life to have.
One truth that, or a lie that got exposed in Bollywood as you made
Truth
your
or lie?
truth and lie.
One truth or one lie?
Yeah.
Truth that friendships change every Friday. I think that's the ultimate truth. And why not? I mean, it's a business.
And the lie is that friendships last in Bollywood?
No, some do. I mean, I have 2 decades of friends, but I think the trick to it is not to have expectations. If you just love, if you just be, if you celebrate each other just for being each other, then it's a good relationship.
So your expectations are more towards your investees.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. One life lesson that you learned the hard way, and what would be your advice to budding entrepreneurs and aspiring actors?
I think we subscribe a lot to fear. Whether it's because when we are kids and our mother says, oh, don't touch that, you'll burn your finger. And we learn fear very early in our lives. Arey gir jayega, arey ye ho jayega, arey wo ho jayega. So it's in the subconscious. So we subscribe a lot to fear. So of course, success is better than failure. All of us will agree to that. But it's better to fail than to live in fear and not try at all. And a lot of us do. We don't chase our dreams. We don't jump into it. Like, I had so many thoughts that were like, oh my God, but you're an actor, you're going through a rough patch, but at the end of the day, you've seen stardom. How can you go down and now, become an entrepreneur? How can you be a founder? How can you start going and raising capital and start saying, I need this capital or I need this contract? How do you do that? And I said, just like I did when I didn't have my first film, I didn't think about whose son I was or, what silver spoon I'm born with. I went just like any other struggler, opened the door and asked for work. Give me a chance. I want to be an actor. It's as simple as that. So I let all that baggage out, left all my fears behind, put myself in an economy class flight with the rest of the team. And that day was so liberating because I didn't have to be, oh, who's seeing me? I still can fly. I'm fearless, to be able to say, yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. I love people. I like being there. And I don't subscribe to these specific notions of what other people decide or define to be successful. So I think fear, don't subscribe to it. Be fearless.
Don't subscribe to fear. I mean, that's the biggest takeaway. Thank you, Vivek. And while we may not have an gift hamper, that's the audience claps for you as the
Thank you, man.
gift.
Thank you, Keshav. Being here is gift enough.
I'd like to call on stage Mr. Saurabh Majumdar, Editor-in-Chief, Fortune India, to please come forward and present a token of appreciation. Well, that was a really fun session. Thank you very much, Dr. Vivek. Thanks a lot.